tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign?
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no. So if you had an employee who told you they weren't trustworthy, would you ask them to resign, Senator?
So this week, as the Trump administration made its big announcement on autism, we bring you yet more evidence of the big pharma and deep state war against RFK Jr., and that's what this is really about. You know, we can mask it in the guise of partisan politics. We can say that the Democrats are against RFK or the liberals are against him. But folks, there's a reason why in this month's Senate hearing, many of the Republican senators sounded exactly the same as the Democrats. And that's because, as we covered on this channel, Big Pharma is currently spending millions of dollars to send lobbyists to Washington, D.C. and pressure RFK Jr. into resigning. They're even telling many of the Republican senators they want to cause a rift between RFK and Trump, which is something a lot of the GOP then later brought up in that very hearing. And we know exactly what is going on here. The good news, however, is that thus far the campaign does not appear to be succeeding, because not only did this controversial autism announcement still end up going out this week, but we have even more updates on this situation at the CDC. Because RFK's been pretty controversial. He's been under fire from the political establishment as of late, basically saying, hey, RFK, how dare you fire people who are supposed to take care of Americans' health when they're clearly doing a very bad job in this country taking care of the health? Well, turns out that not only is some of these groups of bureaucrats highly incompetent, they were actively actually trying to sabotage RFK Jr. and public health in the process. So we'll tell you all about this. We have some more insane updates on the general medical system in this country and what we're told about health to bring you. First though, guys, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And that said, let us start with the big autism announcement. And I want you to remember what you were told about this issue, right? RFK is going to ban vaccines. He's going to go out and claim that vaccines are causing all the autism. And needless to say, neither of those things have happened. What RFK has advocated for is, first of all, changing the childhood vaccine schedule. That is not banning vaccines. That is simply saying maybe we should space out the vaccines so that way you're not taking all of the doses here at once. To me, nothing seems all that crazy about that, right? But secondly, the other point of so-called controversy this week is, as you can see, the Trump administration has now stated that the use of Tylenol during pregnancy may be linked to an increased risk of autism, which to me doesn't sound all that surprising, because I think it's well known, like I'm pretty sure that's not scientifically controversial, that Tylenol is a pretty heavy medicine on your body. They often tell you, hey, don't take it too much because it's bad for your liver. And so, hey, if it causes other health problems, especially when you're pregnant, again, not surprising at all. But look at how, for instance, the media is framing this. The Trump administration links Tylenol use in pregnancy to increased risk of autism despite mixed studies. Well, the reason they say mixed studies and not no evidence is because there are plenty of studies that do indeed find this link, including a recent one from Harvard that someone kindly linked below. But okay, if you want to say there are some studies out there that do not find a direct link or correlation between the two, what I would say in response is, so what? Right? This is still good information. This is the health of your baby, your child that you're bringing into the world that we're talking about here. So I don't apparently the liberal new argument here and what they're apparently now going to do is risk poisoning and giving health problems to their own baby in order to own Trump. Is that the new agenda here? Because to me, it's like, why would you even want to take the risk? If you know that some people are finding this and that's a potential, and hey, there's other medicines you can take if you're sick. The Trump administration did say, hey, if Tylenol is absolutely necessary, medically speaking, then I guess you got to do it, but try to avoid it, right? There's lots of things that you're supposed to try to avoid during pregnancy. Certain types of foods, obviously alcohol, obviously smoking, things like that. But again, apparently they're sitting here and telling us that this is like really out there and really controversial. Why? Why? Because major pharma companies like those that sell Tylenol make a little less money off of pregnant women? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. But again, this is just the pure derangement syndrome they're pushing on all different fronts. How bad is it currently, guys, both within and outside of the pharma system? Well, recently, RFK Jr. further revealed why the CDC's former director of immunization was recently fired. And among those chief reasons is, okay, again, let's think about the measles outbreak. RFK Jr. is causing the measles. He's telling people not to take vaccines, blah, 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 all this stuff. Early on, he promised Governor Greg Abbott to send some badly needed money down to help Texas. And this individual, this rogue CDC bureaucrat, blocked the money that was actually designed to help with the measles epidemic. And then they turned around and told the media, RFK Jr. is causing the measles epidemic. You guys understand there's a coordinated campaign of sabotage here going on, and it's crazy, but really not all that surprising, because we understand the interests here that are being threatened. So take a listen.
They're also criticizing you for firing some people. One of them was the previous CDC director of immunizations, somebody who was a self-proclaimed Satanist and had a really, strange lifestyle. But more importantly, was responsible for so many of these decisions. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, that individual actually came to my attention because early on during the measles outbreak, I promised Governor Abbott to send some money down, badly needed money, and help down to Texas. And this individual blocked that money for a month. I couldn't figure out what's happening. I gave the order. I'm running this agency. How come nothing's happening?
It's just utterly insane. It's hard to believe that's even real. You have a self-proclaimed Satanist working in public health, first of all, and then secondly, blocking money to respond to a disease epidemic that you're also blaming RFK Jr. for, and the uniparty's turning around to RFK Jr. and saying, how dare you fire these people from the CDC, right? And that's not the only guy. We, of course, also have the former CDC director herself, who recently testified in front of Congress. And despite the fact that she really embarrassed herself, she dodged questions the entire time. She brought a bunch of anti-Trump lawyers with her. Like, it was very clear what this was all about. Of course, minutes later, you have Democrats also claiming, oh, behind the scenes, the Republicans also want to get rid of RFK. And it's like, yeah, it seems to me that a lot of bad actors are ganging up together to go after the one good actor. Seems obvious.
Do you see a situation where, and as you mentioned, you believe that maybe Republicans and even independents are going to feel a certain way about this, but is there a way in which, or a scenario in which Republicans can pressure the president to potentially fire RFK Jr.?
Well, I don't think they're trying to pressure the president. I don't think that hasn't been a great success in very many places. But the president does reverse himself, and I think he does pay attention. And I'm going to guess he probably watched this hearing, or at least portions of the hearing. And at a certain point, he'll make that decision and say, enough is enough. We need to make a change here.
Yeah, well, guys, obviously things need to be shaken up at the CDC, but also all of HHS, all of the public health sector in general, for a number of reasons. You want to talk about the mishandling of COVID? That's one thing. You want to talk about some of the recent corruption? Obviously, right? The impact that pharmaceutical lobbying has on a lot of this stuff, the money behind it, not true interests of public health. But as RFK used to bring up and still does all the time, how about the simple fact that Americans are some of the unhealthiest people on the planet? That we have this rampant chronic disease epidemic and all this stuff. And clearly, when you look at that simple kind of empirical piece of proof, the people in charge of public health are not doing a good job. It shouldn't be all that controversial. But ladies and gentlemen, again, keep this in mind as you see this coordinated campaign against RFK and everything he's trying to do. It actually does get worse in terms of what's going on right now. This month, America First Legal announced they would be putting a new investigation into the Biden administration's push to embed DEI into kidney transplants. Apparently, if you need a kidney donation or an organ donation, this was a huge thing happening under the prior term that basically, we're going to be doing affirmative action. We're going to be prioritizing you based on race, which not only is deeply immoral, it's further, I would argue, a blatant violation of civil rights law. But again, when it's done in the name of DEI, apparently that's okay. It actually gets even crazier because we've had recent stories out. Again, this is how crazy our medical system is, of and this is largely, I would note, by the way, driven by profit for the purpose of money. People who are still legally alive but are checked off as organ donors, this is an insane story, I know, you're not going to believe this, having their organs removed while they're still alive. Watch this video right here, and please tell me, we don't need any reforms being made to our medical system. No public health people, no private health people, no different guidelines, no stricter regulations, because this is also something RFK Jr. has recently spoken out about. And the medical system is basically saying, oh no, how dare you notice this stuff? I don't know. Check this out. This is a real story.
A shocking case out of Richmond. A man was declared brain dead and was prepared to donate his organs, though hard to believe he was in fact alive.
36-year-old TJ Hoover had his life changed forever. On October 25th, 2021, he was admitted to Baptist Health Richmond's emergency room. He was experiencing cardiac arrest and was deemed code blue.
We were told TJ had no reflexes, no responses, no brain waves, no brain activity.
Because of that declaration, they decided to honor TJ's wishes as an organ donor.
We had his honor walk, but almost as soon as his honor walk started, his eyes started open, and not just open, he was tracking around looking to see, what was going on. And we were told that was just reflexes, just a normal instinct. He's not there.
But that wasn't the case. In fact, he wasn't dead. He was very much alive.
I feel like they were trying to choose my brother. They were going to sacrifice my brother's life to save how many ever other people.
All right, and today, guys, I'm joined by Ellie Hirsch. She is a certified health nutritionist here to talk about this subject and much more. Ellie, utter insanity. We see affirmative action going on with organ donation, and obviously a lot of this stuff is now illegal officially under the DEI initiatives, Trump getting rid of those. But how confident can we be that they didn't just essentially rebrand it and put it under another name?
Organ harvesting is a real thing. And, recently in Kentucky in 2024, there were 350 cases that were approved, yet 30% of those cases showed some concerns. And even the word concern is concerning. I think 23 or 28 people were actually alive. They weren't dead. So, and then a whole bunch of other, 78 people actually were found that they had some neurological issues that really didn't check the boxes to be a donor. So it is very concerning. And I love that RFK is bringing this to the forefront. Something has to be done. It's insane. At the end of the day, it's a business, right? But, when you're removing organs from live people, that's euthanasia. That is not organ donation. And for someone to be so selfless to donate their organs, it's such a wonderful thing. But, we have to make sure that we're thinking about the patient and the family, because it can just be an absolute nightmare.
Right. And the fact that apparently there's not more oversight or regulation on this is absolutely insane. And, I think on many different fronts, the reasons why you see so much political opposition to RFK from a number of different industries and sectors makes a lot of sense. Recently on the channel, we covered the story of how lobbyists were getting together in organized documents, trying to go to DC, trying to get both political parties essentially to turn against him, kind of explaining one of those hearings you saw last month. I also want to talk about the subject here of RFK's recent campaign against microplastics, which is another monopoly in this country. So let's take a listen.
The latest effort will be removing harmful microplastics found in our food, water, and even air.
We don't know the effects of microplastics in the human body, but we have disturbing studies that link microplastics to cancer, to dementia, and reproductive problems.
Now, according to an article from Health Policy Watch, apparently humans, even now in 2025, are ingesting 6 times more microplastics than they did even in the year 1990 when we already had them, which is really scary, right? To think about.
It's petrifying, because microplastics are everywhere, right? You can only do what you can do. You can only control what you can control. And unfortunately, they're in our food, they're in our water. 94% of the bottled water in the US and, worldwide It has microplastics in it, okay? And you can, try to buy BPA-free, bottles and things like that, but they're in your clothing, they're in your couch, they're in the soil, they're in the air, they are everywhere. And it's really toxic, and it's causing a lot of problems from the toddler stage all the way up. Talking about organs before, it's affecting our heart, our liver, our lungs, our gut, right? And the truth is by the time that you're in your 30s, and I don't know how old you are, but your body actually runs on the habits that you built. So those habits, good or bad, plus these microplastics, it's horrible. It's causing cancers, dementia. There's studies that, people with dementia have 10 times more microplastics in their brain than patients that do not have dementia. There's a whole slew of things, and it's really scary. And RFK is telling us that we really don't know as a society what the long-term effects are.
Right.
And that's just crazy. But what we do know is we have to rid our bodies of these toxins as best as we can, because they're in there.
Yeah, and on the front of dementia, apparently nowadays the average human has 0.5% of their brain composed of microplastic. 99.5% brain, 0.5% plastic. We have a clip on that, so let's take a listen.
We start with a new study on the impact of microplastics, which found human brains contained as much plastic as a plastic spoon, which is up 50% from 2016.
What we're finding is in the brains of people who have dementia, there's actually higher amounts of microplastics. So essentially, these microplastics, or these tiny little particles of plastics, are crossing the blood-brain barrier, and they're depositing into our brain. And they're being correlated with increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, possibly linked to autism and other things that affect the brain. There's also evidence showing increased risk of stroke, and increase inflammation overall. So I have always said, listen, there's no way to avoid microplastics entirely unless you're going to live in a bubble. And by the way, that bubble couldn't be a plastic bubble. It'd have to be a glass bubble.
Your thoughts?
Wow. It's up 50% since 2015. And, I think the average American takes in or ingests like 11,500 microplastics, okay? And if you're eating a lot of protein, that number is in the millions. And that's because 88% of our meat, our seafood, even vegetarian alternatives, meat alternatives, it's in there. So it is everywhere. And the fact that now we are not 100% human, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And we have got to figure out a way to take those microplastics, get that BPA out of the body. And we have.
Yeah, I've heard recent stories too about how even microplastics are being found in the placentas of babies, which is a really scary thing to think about. We also have a clip here on the effect of microplastics in our bloodstream, because it would appear to me we don't even know every problem that microplastics cause, but it's a pretty logical assumption to say they're numerous and there's a lot of them. So let's take a listen.
White ones, we've got clear ones.
Tons of microplastics wash ashore all over the world every day. And now for the first time, scientists in the Netherlands have detected microplastic pollution in human blood.
All the microplastics and nanoplastics we are exposed to, we inhale and we ingest, that actually, there's so much plastic that it can even enter our bloodstream.
The Dutch study on blood samples from healthy adults detected tiny plastic particles in 80% of people.
Yeah, it's just scary to think about. And I guess the true question is, what do we do about it? How do we try to detox ourselves? Because obviously you can't avoid them. They're everywhere. You could throw out all the plastic in your house. You're still going to be exposed to them. So, what exactly is the solution here?
Well, I think there's a few things. The first one is education, right? A lot of people think you see BPA free or things like that, or I'm no longer using plastic. You're not. You're still ingesting all those microplastics. So I think education is really important. And I think we have to thank RFK for that. Okay. The next thing is that kimchi, which you're probably saying, what? Kimchi, which is a Korean staple and in the Asian community, it is pretty awesome. I like to call it the king of fermented foods. It's magical. It has over 900 unique probiotic strains. And this one strain, okay, Bacillus pumilus, is unbelievable. It is the only one proven to degrade, bind to, and get rid of the BPA in your body. So that is really, really exciting news. And, you know, we need to explore that further. But the benefits, aside from the microplastics, is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm not Korean, but I'm obviously Asian, and growing up, my mom always basically forced me to eat it. She said I don't think she ever mentioned removing microplastics as one of them. But yes, this is something RFK has recently talked about, how kimchi is in his diet for that very reason. So let's take a listen.
Mainly meat and then fermented vegetable, anything fermented. So a lot of kimchi and all kinds of fermented vegetables. And it's really, I would say it's dramatically changed my, you know, everything.
I think now we figured out why people on both parties view him as a threat, because they don't want the world to learn about kimchi. But in all seriousness, I mean, why do you think RFK's diet, that includes kimchi, you being the nutritionist and expert here, has changed everything for him?
Well, number one, he's smart. Okay. Number two, he knows what he's doing. And number three, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. He has been through an interesting life, right? And he's still here to talk about it. And he's bringing it to the forefront. He's educating people. As I mentioned, kimchi has over 900 unique probiotic strains. Okay. And it's the king of fermented foods. There are other fermented foods like kombucha and sauerkraut, but they do not have nearly the value that kimchi has. And we're seeing everything from weight loss and hair and beauty and skin. And there's all these studies that prove how amazing it is. But the fact that it can actually degrade the BPA in our body is just so important. And, you know, RFK Jr., he's educating people. It's in his diet. He's not just selling it, right? He's telling you that's what I'm using and that has worked for me. And the studies and the science prove it. So, you know, I'm just so happy that he can say that.
Right. And growing up, I mean, I was always told that, hey, it's good for your gut, right? It's a probiotic. But we're seeing here that apparently it does a lot more than that, right? You're talking about, as you said, it grows back hair. There's a recent study as well showing that it can help reduce obesity or help you to lose weight, just because it firstly reduces appetite, and secondly actually speeds up metabolism. So let's take a listen here.
Here in Hawaii, kimchi, it's a local favorite, and now a new study gives us even more reason to like kimchi. A recently published report in South Korea found that people who ate moderate amounts of kimchi daily are at a lower risk for developing obesity. The report found that Korean men who consumed 1 to 3 servings of kimchi a day are less likely to develop obesity than those who ate less than a serving per day. So there you go, pound down the kimchi.
Well, no wonder they live so long, right? I mean,
yes, you know that Koreans live 6 years longer than Americans, and it's no wonder, because it's foods like kimchi that people are no longer getting sick, right? Because it's helping our immunity. And did you know that 70 to 80% of our immunity is housed in the gut? So it's all connected, right? I mean, blood flows through all of our body. You have your gut brain, your gut heart. It's really all connected. And the whole obesity thing is just unbelievable. You're gonna have a slimmer waistline, better cholesterol, lower fat percentage. And the list, honestly, it just goes on and on. So it's exciting. People need to know about it, and they need to find a way to consume it.
Yeah, and a recent study as well showed it can even grow back hair. So that's very interesting, right? So I guess a big problem for a lot of people, though, right, is that, well, kimchi smells bad, or some people, it's an acquired taste. I will say it's an acquired taste. So tell me about potentially the alternatives there to that problem.
Sure. Well, absolutely. So like you said, kimchi, you can buy it in the supermarket and things like that. It has a lot of sodium, okay? And people don't like the taste, and you have to eat a lot of it to get the benefits. I love kimchi, but I'm not going to eat it 3 times a day. It's hard on your digestion. So, you know,
spicy too.
Yeah, it's spicy too. Not everyone loves it. Okay. Right. And so how are you going to get the benefits, right? How are you going to get everything that you want out of kimchi and nothing you don't want, like the sodium? So, you know, at Brightcore, we created Kimchi One. It's a capsule full of magic. Okay. It is 100% natural. It's non-GMO. And we virtually have taken out all the sodium. You take it 3 times a day. There's no taste. There's no flavor. And the feedback that we're getting from our customers is so insane. It's truly powerful, and more people need to know about it. And again, the science and the studies prove it. People who were sick and not sure why they're sick, now they know why, because the symptoms have gone away, especially if you look at from the COVID vaccine, right? People just they couldn't pinpoint what was going on with them. And now it's gone. I mean, to me, that is such a powerful statement. Like you said, hair, okay? In the study, when people, men and women, ate 200 grams of kimchi a day, 90 of both women and men, their hair was denser and thicker. Weight loss, if you're having a problem with weight loss, when you're taking this kimchi one, you're going to lose the weight, okay? Fatigue, gone. Brain fog, gone. It's pretty unbelievable what happens to it. And again, you're not getting all that sodium. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the kimchi. The other really cool thing about kimchi that I don't think a lot of people know about is that it is literally an anti-aging secret, okay? I'm 49, and I'm going to say the proof is in the kimchi because I don't feel 49. I think I look pretty good for 49. I don't know, maybe you disagree, and that's okay too. But you feel good throughout your entire body, right? All your organs, kind of going back to the organs, you're helping your organs. You're getting rid of those microplastics. And that's why we're so excited to offer this to people, because it just makes everybody healthier. And that's really what we want. We want everyone to be healthy in their whole entire body. That's our goal.
And I mean, Koreans are the masters of anti-aging. Just ask them, we all know this is true.
Skin is the glass skin and the Korean beauty products. It's unbelievable. But as we know, a lot of, anti-aging, it comes from the inside out, right? We got to treat our bodies right. And when you're taking Kimchi One, all those benefits we talked about, you're going to see it and you're going to feel it. And, whether it's weight loss, skincare, the microplastics, immunity, you name it, you're going to benefit from it. And we got to get those toxins out. It is very, very important now more than ever.
And I think this is a big, maybe underrated part of the Make America Healthy Again agenda. Is it's not just about necessarily weeding out corruption in the medical system or other issues. It's also a component of, just take care of your health in very basic ways, and not everything even necessarily requires, having to medicate on a prescription basis or something. Like, I'm not medical advice, but some issues you genuinely can fix through just, including better supplements and better ingredients and things like kimchi in your diet, right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, it's an all natural supplement and it's kimchi. There's nothing else in there. We've taken out all the salt. I mean, it's something that you can easily take, no smell, no taste. And it's going to make your life so much better.
Right. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, right now, if you go down to the link in my description, you can get 25% off on the Kimchi One supplement using my code Vince at mybrightcore.com/Vince. You can call right now for 50% off and free shipping at the number 888-901-4163. Again, that's 888-901-4163. The first 100 callers as well will get a free bottle of vitamin D3 and K2. So all that information is down in the description. Thank you so much, Ellie, for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure and great having you.
Thank you so much. And I do want to point out that we love talking to our customers. Okay. We want to be on their healthcare journey with them. Yes, you can order online and get your 25% off, and that's great. But, if you call, our health experts can answer any questions you have. We want to make sure this is the right product for you. And you get up to the 50% off that Vince mentioned, plus free shipping. And if you're the first 100 callers, you get a free bottle of vitamin D with K2. And I'm just going to say that number one more time, Vince, okay? So it's 888-901-4163. And I am so excited for your health journey. You will see and feel a difference.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. See you guys later.
Thank you, Vince.